Perk, appreciate you hopping on today. How are you?
I'm breathing, Ceruti, so it's all good, man. It's just one of them days, man. Dark cloud over your head, man. You really don't know how to act today, or how to feel, should I say?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously it's incredibly difficult to put into words. I remember when I found out, it was right after the news sort of broke, following it on Twitter and trying to figure out what was true and what wasn't. And your heart just sinks, and it's like this can't be real. This can't be real. This is a guy that you grew. I for me, I'm 31. I grew up idolizing Kobe. He's one of the reasons I fell in love with basketball. Perk, what? Just give us some thoughts. What was your first reaction when you heard the news and the incredibly sad news today?
Well, my first reaction was like, nah, this can't be true. Like, here goes someone just spreading these rumors, and a helicopter crash all of a sudden just because Kobe known for taking the helicopter. It's Kobe. Like, I ain't believing this, and then all of a sudden it's just like you go on social media on the Twitter network, and you see people just people of relevancy is tweeting out, Kobe died today, and no, say that it ain't true, and say it ain't so, and then all of a sudden it start coming out. You turn on CNN News, you see a plane crash, and then all of a sudden when you get confirmation like from Woj and stuff like that, man, it takes it to another level, man. And I just broke down. Um, Kobe and I had our battles when I was in Boston, when I was in Oklahoma City, um, competitive. I'm talking about from start to finish, and but me and Kobe had like we had respect for one another outside of that. Like I was a huge fan of his, and people don't know he was a huge fan of mine. I don't I don't know if people realize, but like, or even know this story. I remember one time I was out in Vegas. I was getting ready to go to a nightclub, and I remember Kobe coming up behind me, bear hugged me, and was like, "What's up, Perk, man? Boy, you one of my favorites, man. Best post defender in the league." And he don't even know, like, that just made me feel like at the top of the world, man, for real, man. And I just had a conversation with Kobe and some of his people a couple weeks ago, like about the Mama facility and getting my boys down there, and then just all of a sudden this come about, man. It's heartbreaking. You really just don't have words to explain.
Yeah, I mean, it really is because this was a guy who, so many people know from him on the basketball court, but it's almost like, he had so many more aspirations to things that he wanted to get to in his post basketball career. He had already, started in that. He was an Academy Award winner. He was coaching up his daughters. He had his hand in a million different things, and he was such an intelligent guy, whether it was on the court, off the court. Whenever you heard an interview with Kobe, it was just like this guy is so cerebral. I'm just so impressed every time I hear him talk. It's the whether it was talking about basketball, talking about life. I mean, people always go back to the Mamba mentality, which, you know, some people may poke fun at, but it was, I mean, Kobe, that was real for him. And I think it inspired a lot of people to try their best and to put their best foot forward and never give up and always work their hardest. And that's one of the things, Perk, that I think is so, will be a lasting memory of his is like nobody worked harder than Kobe. I mean, this is a guy who is, there are memories and stories of him being in the gym late night, early mornings, so many hours. Obviously the talent was there from a basketball perspective, but a lot of people, I'm sure, Perky, as you could attest, do have talent. How many people have the will and desire and the hatred of losing and the love of competition that Kobe had that really made him and the Mamba mentality a thing that inspired so many people, Perk?
Well, it's not even close. It's not even close. I mean, Kobe was different than any athlete I ever been around, any basketball player I ever been around, and that's no disrespect to Kevin Garnett. It's no disrespect to LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, all those players that I played with, Paul Pierce, everybody. It's no disrespect, but you go back to I just went back to thinking about Kobe and reflecting on him as a basketball player and as a man and as a father. And you're never gonna find a guy that was more mentally tough than Kobe Bryant. Like, like just think about this, right, Ceruti? Man, this guy was dealing. Kobe was dealing with, obviously some BS with, somebody falsely accused him of a rape charge. And this guy was going into court the day of fighting the case with his livelihood on the line and still going, taking a hurry up and taking a private jet to make the games and going out there and dropping 40. Do you know how mentally tough you have to be to do something like that? I mean, Kobe is a breed that is a guy that I don't know we'll never find another guy like him. I mean, just it's just the way he approached the game, and just think about it. He wanted to be like the great Michael Jordan. Like, if people used to say, "Oh man, you crazy, this kid and lost his mind." No, all of a sudden he worked his way through adversity, through people telling him he wasn't going to be this person, and to me, he's arguably top five greatest players to ever play the game of basketball. And then you go into Kobe as a man and what he accomplished outside of basketball. Like, every time he speaks, it's like, my God, it's like you listening to the president. And then you look at him as a father figure, which like that's what touches me the most. You watch all these videos of him with his child, man, and with them at the game, and he explained it to his daughter how to, certain situations about the game of basketball, and all of a sudden to find out today that they was actually going to work out this morning, man. I'm telling you, man, it just, hey, man, it really touched home with me. I swear, man. I swear, it's just something real, Ceruti.
It is, and it's really well put, Perk. And I think as you mentioned, he was on his way with his daughter Gianna to go to one of her travel basketball tournaments, and that like, in the post playing days, Kobe, that's what we saw. We saw him with his daughters, with his wife, and he would be he was a great family man in that sense, and coaching up his daughters, and there were so many inspirational things you can see him passing down to them, and it was just cool to see him be this massive part in their lives and their futures. And the accolades are there. I mean, a five-time champion, two-time finals MVP. He was MVP in 2008, 18-time NBA All-Star. I mean, it just four-time All-Star Game MVP. The guy was bigger than life, really, Perk. And for me, I'm 31 years old. I grew up kind of on the tail end of Michael Jordan, and basically during my basketball prime of knowledge and learning the game and really knowing the game, it was mostly Kobe. It was mostly the era of Kobe's prime. So I grew up with Kobe being the man, and it was just so inspirational. Like guys at the gym, I mean, everyone knows now, like, you're at the Y, you're playing pickup hoops down at the park or whatever, and guys are taking turnaround jump shots, yelling Kobe. Like, it was just the cool thing to do. Everybody wanted to be like him, and everybody wanted to play like him and have the mentality that he had and be the winner that he was. And, he was just such, he was just a killer on and off the court, whether it was, in life and endeavors or whether it was winning championships. He was just such an impressive guy. And I mean, what was he like to be around? I mean, you played against him, talked to, and played with some of his former teammates, and he wasn't an easy guy to play with. I'd imagine too. He brought out, he would bring out a lot of you, and he would ask a lot of you, and not everyone could live up to the competitive nature that he had, and he certainly butt heads with teammates in the past because Kobe had this elite mentality of like, I will do anything possible in my strength not to lose and to be the best person I can be. I mean, can you share some stories about, what did guys tell you? What was it like being a competitor against him? What did guys say who played with him? What was he like on the court, Perk?
Man, he was unreal, man. I mean, like, I'm gonna give you an example. When we played Kobe in the finals, those years there was the Celtics versus the Lakers. We got to the point where we were saying, you know what? We came to the conclusion that we were saying in the locker room, hey man, look, we're gonna let Kobe get his because we couldn't stop him. No one could, not even a double team. So we're gonna let Kobe get his, and we just gotta cancel out everybody else. That's how great and that's how a competitor he was. People don't even understand. In 2010, Game Seven of the Finals, Kobe didn't shoot the ball extremely well. He was like 6 for 24, but this he willed them to victory. He had 18 rebounds. He had 11 offensive rebounds at the two guard position. Like that just tell you his mentality. Like you know certain things you just can't teach his will. Like Ceruti, he's one guy that's going down in history, man. Like he's gonna have both of his jerseys retired on one team with the
Hmm.
Lakers. Like like that's unheard of. He was great as number 24, and he was great at the number 8, man. And it's sad, man. This is the worst day in sports history to me, man. Like my opinion, this is the worst day in sports history. I've never experienced nothing like this since being a fan of basketball, since a kid, since since playing the game of basketball, and since now being retired in the media. This is absolutely the worst day ever in the history of sports, in my opinion. We lost
Yeah, it's
a good one. We lost a great one.
yeah, and I think one of the things that today brings out of this incredible tragedy is us sort of being able to reflect and remember all the great things that Kobe did and all the memories that we have of him, and there are so many. By the way, listening to Scal Pals here, radio.com and the radio.com app. I'm Steve Ceruti alongside NBA champion Kendrick Perkins. It is a sad day coming to you because of the news earlier this evening of Kobe Bryant passing away in a helicopter crash in Calabasas, California, just outside of Los Angeles. Five total died in the crash, including Kobe's 13-year-old daughter, Gianna. And you're right. It's an incredibly sad day, and I think seeing the outpouring support of him and the love of him, whether it's in the NBA circles of games that are going on now as we speak. We saw a couple teams take 24-second shot clock violations right off the bat to honor Kobe number 24. I've seen, soccer teams, I've seen football teams, everybody, all sorts of athletes and teams paying tribute to this man because, Kobe was one of those guys that yeah, he was made famous because he was a basketball player. But as I mentioned with the Mamba mentality and who he was, being larger than life, like Kobe was a name that I mean, that was known all around the globe, China, Europe, even other countries in Asia, South America. The name Kobe was, as far as athletes go, I'd have to say, I mean, up top five as far as guys that you just knew, and you didn't even have to be a huge sports fan to know who Kobe was. Kobe was a pop culture icon. Whether it was commercials, whether it was any of the media endeavors that he did. Kobe was just larger than life, man. And like I said, as a kid growing up, when I was, I think I was probably 12 or 13 or so when he started winning his championships with the Lakers. Like I grew up an Orlando Magic fan, that, Perk, but I was also a Kobe
Right.
fan. I think that's what a lot of people kind of had the same relationship with Kobe, whereas they may have been a fan of their team or whatever, but they are also Kobe fans, and those Kobe fans are as loyal as they come because they knew the heart and the dedication that he sort of gave to pretty much all walks of life, whether it was on the court and off the court, and that's something that I always remember striving to do. I remember like trying to practice Kobe moves in the backyard and in my driveway and turn around jump shots, doing up and under moves and things like that. All stuff that I tried to learn from Kobe, and I didn't have any sort
Right.
of the near athleticism that he'd have, but just watching him was great. Watching his clips on YouTube, and just the things he did. He was so fearless too, Perk. Like he was never afraid. He didn't always make the last shot, but he was never afraid to take it. He was never afraid to have the ball or the pressure on him in big situations. He certainly, butted heads with people because it was because of his desire to win and his desire to be great. And I think, he wasn't afraid of what people thought of him. He didn't care if you were friends with him. He wanted to win basketball games. And he wanted to be this elite guy, and he wanted to be one of the all-time greats. And he's already gonna go down, as you mentioned him, in possible top 5, definitely top 10. I mean, elite scoring player, elite mentality, and we just lost we lost an elite basketball player, and we lost an elite person really today in the tragedy of, as I mentioned, 41 years old. And we're going to talk to some more people coming up here. Ric Bucher is going to join us, a guy who covered him for a while. We're going to
Because
talk to Ryan
Ceruti,
McDonough as well. And try to have some more reflection here as we go through the next half hour or so here on the show. But Perk, go ahead. I'll elaborate on that.
so Rudy, so like think about this though, right? Think about just this situation. As an opponent, you hated Kobe. As a Laker fan, you loved him, right? But let me tell you, like, if you go back and you look at Kobe farewell tour, his last year in the NBA, it was like the best thing in sports history. D Wade tried to have one where he had one, but it wasn't nearly what Kobe Bryant's was. Like I'm talking about, like this dude was like, it's all of a sudden it's like as an opponent you went from hating this guy to when he was walking away from the game, you was like, no, you're not leaving, Kobe. At least give us 2 more years. Give us another year. Like, I'm telling you, I was in New Orleans during the farewell tour, man, and it was just like it was unbelievable how everyone was just there, like Kobe, Kobe. Like if this was any other year, like in his prime, he would be getting booed, and but that just goes to show you, like they hated him as an opponent, but they loved Kobe. But you had to love him,
Hmm.
like you just had to as a basketball player. But I was just, you know, more so I became a bigger fan and fell in love with Kobe even more once he retired. Once he retired, man, he became a person that was more of a icon figure, like for us, just like outside of basketball, man. Just the way he carried himself as a family man, man, and the way he started embracing his role as being a mentor to even young guys in the league, like the guys who was coming into the league to work, going into the Mamba facility to work out. Like, man, it's just like, man, I actually became a huge, even bigger fan once Kobe retired, because he started
Hmm.
showing me a whole nother side of him, man, that I fell in love with. Like, hey, man, I want to be like him. Like the way he's carrying himself and stuff like that, man. It's just, man, it's unbelievable, man. Ceruti, to be honest, man, I don't even know if I have any more tears to shed, man.
Yeah,
Head
listen,
hurt, got a headache, man. It's just hard, bro.